everyone, welcome back to the channel। और आज हम करेंगे चैप्टर नंबर 3 का पार्ट 2। लास्ट लेक्चर में हमने पार्ट 1 किया था एंड हमने डिस्कस क्या क्या किया था कि स्टोरी ऑफ हरप्पा, कि हमें हाउ डू वी गेट टू नो अबाउट हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन, अबाउट दैट ट्रेन वाला स्टोरी। ओके, आई होप यू हैव रेड द चैप्टर। एंड उसके बाद हमने डिस्कस किया था अबाउट व्हाट वाज द स्पेशलिटी ऑफ दिस सिटीज़, लाइक किस तरह से इन सिटीज़ को डिज़ाइन किया गया था। एंड उसके बाद फिर हमने पढ़ा था अबाउट हाउसेज, ड्रेन्स एंड स्ट्रीट्स, कि लाइक दे हैड कवर्ड ड्रेन्स एंड हाउ द हाउसेज वेयर बिल्ट एंड हाउ properly planned all three things were. Okay, so these were the things we discussed in the last lecture, and about the life in the city, like what were the professions people had and what were the things they used to do. And today we will start with a new topic, that is new crafts in the city. Okay, so let me just select a pen. Okay, now which color? Let it be black only. So new crafts in the city. Let us look at some of the objects that were made and found in Harappan cities. So these are some of the objects that were found in Harappan cities. Most of the things have been found by archaeologists are made of, मतलब ज़्यादातर चीज़ें जो मिली हैं वो किस चीज़ से बनी है, या तो स्टोन से बनी है, या तो शेल से बनी है, या तो मेटल से बनी है। मेटल में कौन कौन से मेटल्स? कॉपर, ब्रॉन्ज एंड गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर। Copper and bronze were used to make tools, weapons, ornaments and vessels। मतलब कॉपर और ब्रॉन्ज का यूज़ इन सब कामों में किया जाता था। एंड गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर were used to make ornaments, और आज भी we use gold and silver to make ornaments and vessels as well, right? Perhaps the most striking finds are those of beads, weights and blades। Beads are what? मोती। मोती is called beads, right? And weights are this thing जिससे कि हम लोग वज़न करते हैं, right? And blades are these are the blades. So let us just read this very thing. Stone weights, like this thing is what? Stone weight. Notice how carefully and precisely these weights are shaped. Just look at it, how perfect cube it is. These were made of chert. Chert is a kind of stone. It is a kind of stone. These were probably used to weigh precious stones or metals. So see, these are perfectly shaped, मतलब इसका जो weight होगा वो बहुत ही precise होगा। तो why we used these weights? To weigh precious metals or stones. Okay, और these are what? Right side में ये जो चीज़ है, that looks like necklace ना। So beads, many of these were made of carnelian, a beautiful red stone. So you look at this is what? A beautiful red stone. The stone was cut, shaped, polished and finally a hole was bored through the center so that string could pass through it। मतलब कि स्टोन को इस तरह से शेप दिया जाता था और उसके अंदर एक होल किया जाता था so that string, मतलब धागा उसके थ्रू पास किया जाए और उसको इस तरह से नेकलेस का फॉर्म दे दिया जाए। ओके, एंड नाउ दिस इज स्टोन ब्लेड्स। And the last one, this figure, embroidered cloth. You look at the cloth this statue, I'll say this statue is wearing, it is embroidered. Embroidered means you see these designs, these designs, these flowers. So these are called embroidered cloth. A statue of important man found from Mohenjo-daro shows him wearing an embroidered garment. तो इसने embroidered garment को पहना है, right? And this statue we have got from Mohenjo-daro. Now let's get back to the chapter. The Harappans also made seals out of stone. These are generally rectangular and usually have an animal carved on them. So figure is given on page number 27. Just look at it. This is what? This thing is seal and animal is carved on it. This is animal. And yeah, the Harappans also made pots with beautiful black designs such as the one shown on page 6. So we have seen it in the last chapter also कि वो कितने beautifully paint करके जो है सो pots को बनाते थे। Next is cotton was probably grown at Mehergarh from about 7,000 years ago. Actual pieces of clothes were found attached to the lid of silver vase and some copper objects at Mohenjo-daro. मतलब कि Mohenjo-daro पे what all we found actual pieces of cloth. Okay. And some copper objects. Archaeologists have also found spindle whorls. Spindle whorls are used for what? मतलब क्लोथ्स के वीविंग में हम क्या करते हैं, स्पिंडल स्वर्स को यूज़ करते हैं. मेड ऑफ टेराकोटा एंड फाइन्स. जो स्पिंडल था वो दैट वाज मेड अप ऑफ टेराकोटा एंड फाइन्स. नाउ व्हाट इज फाइन्स? लेट्स रीड हियर. Unlike stone or shell that are found naturally, faience is a material that is artificially produced. मतलब faience को क्या कहते हैं? Artificially produce किया जाता है. और इसको कैसे produce किया जाता है? A gum was used to shape sand or powdered quartz into an object. It is made of either sand या फिर क्वार्ट्ज से. क्वार्ट्ज क्या होता है? एक मिनरल है मेड अप ऑफ सिलिकन, मतलब सिलिकन कंटेंट के साथ एक मिनरल है. ओके. तो इसको गम के साथ एक शेप दिया जाता था एंड देन दैट ऑब्जेक्ट वाज ग्लेज्ड, मतलब उसको शाइनी बनाया जाता था. ग्लेज्ड करने से क्या होता था? वो शाइनी हो जाता था एंड इट लुक्ड लाइक अ ग्लासी सरफेस. दीज कलर्स ऑफ ग्लेज वर यूजुअली ब्लू और सी ग्रीन. Fines was used to make beads, bangles, earrings and tiny vessels. Okay. And next paragraph is, many of the things that were produced were probably the work of specialists. मतलब जितने भी ये चीज़ें मिली हमें, so all of these were made by probably. एक probability है कि वो किसी specialist लोग जो है वो बनाते होंगे. A specialist is who? A person who is trained to do only one kind of work. Like we have jewelers. So they design jewelries. We have potters. They design pots. For example, cutting stone or polishing beads or carving seals. So these were some of the works which were done by specialists. So just look at this figure. We have seen this earlier as well. See how perfectly these beards have been drawn and how beautifully these embroideries has been drawn. So ये सारी चीज़ें हर कोई नहीं कर सकता ना. So we need a specialist for doing this. The one who has been doing this, who has learned to do this. Only they can do. All of the people cannot do, right? So therefore we say what? There must have been a specialist who is to do this. Now okay, so this has been drawn and this must have been the work of an expert craft person. Not everybody could have been a specialist. We do not know whether only men were specialists or women were specialists. Perhaps some men and women have been the specialist. Okay, तो ये paragraph तो it's understandable. ठीक है, तो आगे चलते हैं. In search of raw materials. Raw materials were substances that are either found naturally, such as wood or ores of metals, or produced by farmers or herders. तो let's say example, जैसे कि कोई farmer wheat उगा रहा है, so that wheat is called a raw material. और जब उसको पीस कर पैकेट में पैक कर देते हैं, and then that is called what? A finished good. Okay. So for example, cotton produced by farmer is a raw material, and that may be processed to make cloth. While some of the raw materials that Harappans used were available locally, many items such as copper, tin, gold, silver and precious stones had to be brought from distant places. तो हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन में क्या था कि कुछ जो रॉ मटेरियल्स थी वो तो लोकली अवेलेबल थी, बट कुछ जैसे कि कॉपर, टिन, गोल्ड, सिल्वर, ये सारी चीज़ें को वो लोग दूर से लाया करते थे फ्रॉम द प्लेसेस जहाँ पे कि ये सारे रॉ मटेरियल्स अवेलेबल थे. So Harappans probably got copper from present-day Rajasthan and even from Oman in West Asia. They got tin which was mixed with copper to produce bronze. So bronze is what? It is a alloy made up of tin and copper, which would have been brought from present-day Afghanistan and Iran. Gold could have come from all the way from present-day Karnataka, and precious stones from present-day Gujrat, Iran and Afghanistan. And now let's just read this one. How were goods carried from one place to another? So we have read in the last chapter, let's not talk about the last chapter. So these days we have so many means of transportation. मतलब बहुत सारे means of transportation है, तो किसी भी तरह से goods को travel करा जा सकता है. But at that point of time, how the goods were carried? look at the illustrations. One shows a toy and the other is a seal. So if you look at these two illustrations, these looks like a bullock cart. हाँ, तो इससे goods को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पहुंचाया जाता होगा. And second, if you look at this seal, तो ये seal जो है इस पे ये देखो बोट टाइप का दिख रहा है ना. So the places which were covered by water bodies, वहाँ से जो है जो goods ship में ये बोट में कैरी करा जाता होगा. And the next topic is food for the people in the cities. तो even in that point of time, मतलब करीबन 4700 years back, even उस समय में भी cities and villages के लाइफ स्टाइल में differences थे. Let's say कि जो people country side या फिर गांव वगैरह में रहा करते थे, what they used to do, they used to grow crops or rear animals, and these farmers and herders supplied food to craftspersons, scribes and rulers. तो these three category of people used to live in city, और farmers इन लोगों को supply देते थे किसका, food का. We know from the remains of plants that Harappans grew wheat, barley, pulses, peas, rice, sesame, linseed and mustard. A new tool, the plough, was used to dig the earth for turning the soil and planting the seeds. तो इस पैराग्राफ में बेसिकली क्या कह रहा है कि ये जो प्लॉग है ये उस समय तक इसका यूज़ करने शुरू हो गया था फॉर डिगिंग द लैंड. और ओरिजिनली जो प्लॉग बनाया गया था वो किस चीज़ से बनाया गया था, थ्रू वुड, मतलब वुड से बनाया गया था. एंड वुड का क्या है कि इट डजंट सर्वाइव फॉर वेरी लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. धीरे धीरे कीड़े लग जाते हैं एंड इट जस्ट डिकेज, ख़त्म हो जाता है. सो बट वी हैव फाउंड व्हाट सम टॉय मॉडल्स हैज़ बीन फाउंड. एंड सेकेंडली इट टॉक्स अबाउट इरीगेशन. तो कुछ ऐसी जगह थी जहाँ पे कि हैवी रेनफॉल नहीं होती थी. सो दे मतलब उन्होंने कोई इरिगेशन का भी मेथड डेवलप करा होगा. ओके, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, दे यूज्ड टू स्टोर वाटर and they used to supply it to the fields. Now Harappans reared cattle, sheep, goat and buffalo, water and pastures and available around the. तो we have read it earlier कि generally जो people या फिर civilization settle होता था वो कहाँ, near a river, क्योंकि वहाँ पे easily water available था. Okay, so this is what is saying कि आसपास में भी water and pastures were available. However, in dry summer months, तो we have read that कि some rivers just dry up in the summer season. तो जब summer season में वो लोग dry हो जाएंगे तो they used to go in search of water to different places. And they used to caught fish, hunted animals like antelope, and they collected fruits like bear. Bear is a fruit. Okay, and now let's have a closer look at the Harappan towns in Gujrat. तो जब हम लोग एक civilization की बात करते हैं, let's say Harappan civilization, तो हमने first paragraph में क्या पढ़ा था कि it was found where in Punjab, which is in present day Pakistan. तो उस समय पे अगर हम हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन की बात करें तो 4700 ईयर्स बैक ऐसे बहुत सारी जगह होंगे जहाँ पे कि छोटे छोटे ग्रुप में पीपल्स रहते होंगे, सिविलाइजेशन में पीपल रहते होंगे. तो जितने भी सिविलाइजेशन थे सबको कलेक्टिवली हम लोग क्या कहते हैं, हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन कहते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि बस वो जो पंजाब रीजन में मिला उसी को हरप्पन कहते हैं. ओके, तो इवन गुजरात में भी उस समय पे जो सिविलाइजेशन थी उसको भी हम लोग हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन ही कहते हैं. तो वो गुजरात में कहाँ पे थी ये सिविलाइजेशन, कहाँ पे एग्जिस्ट कर रही थी, वो सिटी का नाम था क्या, ढोलावीरा. एंड इट वाज लोकेटेड ऑन खादीर बेट इन रन ऑफ कच्छ, where there was fresh water and fertile soil. Unlike some of the other Harappan cities which were divided into 2 parts, Dholavira was divided into 3 parts. तो इस सिटी के 2 मेजर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स थे जो कि और सारे हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन से अलग थे. पहला तो कि इसको 2 पार्ट में नहीं बल्कि 3 पार्ट में डिवाइड किया गया था. एंड सेकेंडली यहाँ पे जो लेटर्स थे, हरप्पन लेटर्स थे, वो लार्ज लेटर्स में लिखे गए थे. ओके, जस्ट अ मिनट, लेट मी जस्ट इरेज दिस. आई थॉट इट्स हाईलाइटर बट इट वाज इंक्लूड लार्ज लेटर्स ऑफ हरप्पन स्क्रिप्ट. So these were the 2 specialities of Dholavira. And let's just read the lines. There was also a large open area in the settlement where public ceremonies could be held. Other finds include large letters of Harappan script that were carved out on white stone and perhaps inlaid in the wood. So this is what a unique find as generally Harappan writings had been found on small objects such as seal. तो और जितने भी civilization थे वहाँ पे हरप्पन स्क्रिप्ट क्या था, छोटे छोटे अक्षरों में दिखा था, on seals and all. But इस यहाँ पे ढोलावीरा में बड़े बड़े अक्षरों में we have seen the script. Okay, So the next is the city of Lothal, and that too is located in Gujrat near the tributary of Sabarmati, close to the Gulf of Khambat. It was situated near areas where raw materials such as semi-precious stones were easily available. और जब यहाँ पे stones available था, so it was an important center for making objects out of stone. जहाँ पे stone, shell and metal. तो जहाँ पे जो चीज़ available है raw material, तो वहीं पे उसका processing होगा. Then it will be economical, it will be profitable, right? So it was an important center for making objects. And it has storehouses as well. Many seals and ceilings were found in the storehouse. And a building that was found here was probably a workshop for making beads, pieces of stone, half-made beads, tools for bead making and finished goods have been found here. तो यहाँ पे एक ऐसी बिल्डिंग मिली जो कि probably एक जगह थी जहाँ पे कि मोतियों को बनाया जाता था, बीड्स को, एंड वहाँ पे कुछ चीज़ें मिली जैसे कि pieces of stone, half-made beads, tools for bead making, all those things. Okay. This is what seals and sealings. Seals may have been used to stamp bags or packets containing goods that were sent from one place to another. After a bag was closed or tied, a layer of wet clay was applied on the knot and the seal was pressed on it. The impression of the seal is known as sealing. तो अभी के समय में भी हमें किस तरह के सीलिंग्स मिलते हैं, लाइक वी ऑर्डर समथिंग फ्रॉम अमेजोन और फ्लिपकार्ट फ्रॉम एनीवेयर, तो वो एक सील करके देता है. अदरवाइज लेट से दुकान से एक मोबाइल फ़ोन खरीदते हैं तो इट इज़ सील्ड, राइट. और अगर वो सील टूट गया देन इट मीन्स व्हाट कि somebody has used it. तो वी डोंट जनरली टेक जिसका सील टूटा हुआ होता है. सो इन द सेम वे उस समय में भी सील का इस्तेमाल होता था. सो अगर सील उसी तरह इंटैक्ट है, इसका मतलब है कि गुड्स हैज़, जो भी सामान को भेजा गया वो सेफली पहुंच गया है. ओके. एंड लास्ट आई गेस दिस इज़ द लास्ट टॉपिक, एंड दिस इज़ व्हाट द मिस्ट्री ऑफ द एंड. Around 3900 years ago, we find the beginning of a major change. People stopped living in many cities. मतलब 3900 years ago अचानक से लोग वहाँ cities में रहना छोड़ दिए. Writings and seals and weights were no longer used. और इन चीज़ों का अब और कोई इस्तेमाल नहीं हो रहा था. Raw materials brought from long distance became rare. मतलब धीरे धीरे raw materials को भी लाना छोड़ दिया गया. In Mohenjo-daro, we find that garbage piled up on streets, the drainage system broke down, and new, less impressive houses were built even over the streets. तो मोहनजोदारो में हम what we find कि पूरा garbage एकदम streets पे piled up हो गया था और drainage system broke out, और अब जो है वो less impressive houses were built. मतलब जैसे तैसे कहीं पर भी घर बना, मतलब ऐसा घर मिलता था. बट इनिशियली तो इट वॉज़ वेरी वेल डिज़ाइंड, वेरी वेल स्ट्रक्चर्ड, और अब वैसा नहीं है. सो ये सब कैसे हुआ, लाइक वाई डिड ऑल दिस हैपन, वी आर नॉट श्योर. हमें नहीं पता कि ये कैसे हुआ. तो वी हैव सम सजेशंस फ्रॉम स्कॉलर्स, सम प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ कि शायद ये हुआ होगा. सम स्कॉलर्स सजेस्ट दैट रिवर्स ड्राइड अप. कुछ कहते हैं कि हाँ रिवर्स ड्राइड अप हो गए तो पानी नहीं मिला, सो देयरफॉर the civilization ended. Others suggest that there was a deforestation. This could have happened because fuel was required for baking bricks and for smelting copper ores. Besides, grazing was by large herds of cattle, sheep, goat may have destroyed the green cover, right? So deforestation could have been the one reason, because plants was like trees were used for so many things. In some areas there were floods, but none of these reasons can explain the end of all the cities. Flooding or a river drying up would have been an effect in only some areas. मतलब अगर ठीक है कहीं पे पानी सूख गया या फिर बाढ़ आ गया तो कुछ एरियाज़ में को अफेक्ट करेगा, बट ऑल ऑफ अ सडन पूरा ही का सबको थोड़ी ना अफेक्ट कर जाएगा. ओके. सो इट अपीयर्स एज इफ रूलर्स लॉस्ट कंट्रोल. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि रूलर्स जो थे दे लॉस्ट देयर कंट्रोल. In case the effects of change are quite clear, in any case the effects of change are quite clear. Sites in Sindh and West Punjab were abandoned while many people moved to newer, smaller settlements to the east and south. New cities emerged about 1400 years later. और इसके बारे में हम लोग chapter 5 and 8 में बात करेंगे. Okay. Now here they are talking about Egypt, about the pyramids. Around 5000 years ago, kings ruled over Egypt. Okay. So these kings sent armies to distant land to get gold, silver, ivory. Ivory means what? वो जो elephant का जो white वाला आगे जो होता है ना, वो tusk के सामने जो होता है white thing, that is what ivory. And precious stones. They also built huge tombs known as pyramids. These were the pyramids, and when they died, the bodies of kings were preserved and buried in these pyramids. These carefully preserved bodies were known as mummies. A large number of objects were also buried with them. These included food and drink, clothes, ornaments, utensils, musical instruments, weapons and animals. तो इजिप्शियंस को इस बात में विश्वास रखते थे कि देयर इज़ अ लाइफ आफ्टर डेथ, मतलब पुनर्जन्म में विश्वास रखते थे. देयरफॉर वो लोग क्या करते थे कि ये सारी मतलब डेड बॉडी के साथ ये सारी यूज़ की सामान दे दिया करते थे वाइल बरिंग देम. These are amongst the most elaborate burials in the world history. Obviously, these are the most elaborate burials. Okay, so I think we are done with chapter number 3. Or first of all, we will just read all the chapters and then we will discuss the question answer as well. So till then, just keep reading. और अभी तक जितना पढ़ा है सबको एक बार read करना from NCERT book. Okay, take care. Bye bye.